Could everything Jamie and Claire Fraser held true be built on a foundation of lies? Outlander's eighth season ignites with a revelation so profound it threatens the very fabric of the life they've painstakingly built. A cryptic message emerges from the depths of the past, a chilling echo from a place of sorrow. She awaits you. These few words plunge them back into a vortex of grief. They believed they had escaped. Yet this resurgence isn't merely about loss revisited. It's about secrets buried so profoundly they risk tearing their reality asunder. As Jamie and Claire plunge into this enigma, they will find that some truths carry a fatal edge far more dangerous than mere pain. The episode thrusts viewers immediately into turmoil. After enduring war, immense heartbreak, and countless sacrifices, Jamie and Claire, having found a semblance of peace, now face an unforeseen tempest. Begins subtly on what seems an unremarkable day at Fraser's Ridge. Sunlight bathes the land, life carries a peaceful rhythm, and for a fleeting moment, genuine calm seems possible. But tranquility is a luxury the Frasers rarely keep. An anonymous letter arrives, bearing only that foreboding message. She awaits you. It's you. Claire's hands shake as the words imprint themselves on her mind, her heart hammering against her ribs. Every agonizing memory of Faith's death floods back, a tidal wave threatening to pull her under. Jamie reads the message over her shoulder, and a familiar shadow crosses his face, the profound grief he had locked away. The gnawing guilt over his absence during Claire's deepest despair resurfaces with crushing force. Initially, they attempt dismissal. Could it be a malicious prank, someone twisting the knife in their oldest wound? But the message resonates with a weight that defies simple explanation. Claire grapples with logic. It's impossible, she reasons. Faith perished. Yet, a persistent whisper in her consciousness, the part of her that has witnessed the impossible time travel, improbable survival, questions why this too couldn't be real. Jamie, ever the pragmatist, tries to remain stoic for Claire, but the letter's presence disturbs him profoundly. In the dead of night, while Claire sleeps, he finds himself examining the script, tracing the letters. There's an unsettling familiarity he can't quite grasp. Their quest for clarity naturally leads them to Francesca, whose mysterious allusion to Faith in the previous season now feels less like a casual remark and more like a veiled premonitio. 2. When Claire confronts Francesca about the cryptic message and its possible connection to Faith, Francesca's demeanor becomes icy, evasive. She speaks elliptically, her gaze refusing to meet Claire's desperate search for answers. Some matters, she murmurs, her voice low, are best left undisturbed, but Claire cannot let it rest. Her every instinct screams that there is more to this narrative, hidden layers that no one is willing to reveal. Even the faintest glimmer of hope that Faith might still exist compels her to pursue the truth, regardless of the potential devastation. The atmosphere grows heavier with each passing hour. Jamie finds himself caught between his fierce need to protect Claire and the undeniable pull of this mystery. Memories of that harrowing night surge back, the overwhelming guilt, the crushing weight of his perceived failure. Yet something more potent than guilt now fuels him, a fragile, burgeoning hope. Just as the situation seems impossibly complex, Lord John Grey re-enters their lives. This time, however, his presence isn't solely that of a steadfast friend offering solace. He is withholding something significant, something that clearly terrifies him. When Jamie presses him, the usual camaraderie evaporates, replaced by palpable tension. Lord John's customary composure falters, his unease evident. "You cannot comprehend what you are unearthing, Jamie," he warns, his voice sharp. "For the love of your family, abandon this path." But retreating when family is involved is not in Jamie Fraser's nature. As their investigation intensifies, so does the peril surrounding them. Unseen eyes seem to follow their movements, shadows flicker at the edge of their vision, and whispers echo in the quiet moments. A chilling awareness dawns. Someone actively seeks to prevent them from uncovering the truth. Someone prepared to employ any means necessary to keep the past buried. Yet Jamie and Claire are not the only ones ensnared in this intricate web. William, Jamie's unacknowledged son, senses the foundations of his life shifting, built upon concealed truths. His questions about his own parentage grow louder, more insistent, creating a widening chasm between him and Lord John. With unseen forces closing in, Jamie and Claire face a critical choice. How far will they venture for a truth that might shatter everything. If Faith is indeed alive, the search for her promises not just answers, but a desperate struggle for survival itself, and the storm is only just beginning to gather. The letter's presence looms a constant, oppressive weight, casting a pall over Fraser's Ridge. Every breath seems charged with the agonizing possibility: what if Faith survived? Hope, however, proves a treacherous companion. 3. Hope can verge on madness, and as Jamie and Claire pursue this phantom possibility, the boundary between hopeful determination and sheer desperation becomes dangerously thin. Claire finds herself in a mental tug of war. Rationality insists Faith is gone. She held her lifeless form, felt the absence of a heartbeat, experienced the cold, hollow ache that followed. The memory is visceral, undeniable. Yet the impossible message persists, gnawing at her resolve. She knows dismissing it as a cruel fabrication is the logical course, but after surviving so much against impossible odds, logic feels insufficient. Jamie observes her internal struggle, feeling an acute sense of helplessness. He has confronted armies, endured betrayals, survived wars, but this internal battle Claire faces is beyond his reach. Still, a flicker of something resonates within him too. He has witnessed miracles firsthand, the inexplicable reality of time travel, twists of fate that defy explanation. In their extraordinary lives, nothing feels truly impossible. If the slimmest chance exists that Faith somehow endured, Jamie knows he would challenge heaven and earth to find her. But the path ahead is fraught with hidden dangers. The next piece of the puzzle emerges from an unexpected corner. Mother Hildegard, an old acquaintance from their time in Paris. Time has weathered her, but her insight remains keen. When Jamie and Claire seek her counsel, she immediately perceives the immense burden they carry. As Claire, hands trembling, shares the contents of the letter, Mother Hildegard's expression shifts, darkening with what seems disturbingly like recognition. "You should not have come ere, Claire," she whispers, her tone heavy with apprehension. "Certain sorrows are meant to remain buried." The statement lands like a physical blow. Why would she react this way? What knowledge does she possess? Claire pushes, her voice strained with desperation, but Mother Hildegard retreats, offering only a vague warning that disturbing the past could unleash consequences far beyond their comprehension. Yet the Frasers have never shied away from confronting difficult truths, no matter how daunting. Back on Fraser's Ridge, unsettling occurrences begin. Unexplained scratches appear on their cabin door. Strange tracks mark the earth near the woods, and the persistent feeling of being watched intensifies. Initially, they attribute it to grief-fueled paranoia, but the signs become too concrete to ignore. Then, the nightmares start. Claire is jolted awake night after night, drenched in sweat, haunted by visions of a small girl standing silently at the foot of her bed. The child remains mute, her gaze empty, her presence emanating a chilling coldness. The most disturbing aspect: the girl bears a striking resemblance to how Faith might have looked had she grown. 4. Jamie offers comfort, holding Claire close, but even he cannot dispel the growing sense of dread that permeates their home. The nightmares feel unnervingly real, as if transmitted from another place by another being. Soon after, another message arrives, not written this time, but tangible. A lock of delicate, blonde hair, tied with a simple silk ribbon. Claire's hands tremble violently as she holds it, her heart aching with a hope she dares not fully embrace. Could this truly belong to Faith? Or is it part of an elaborate, cruel manipulation? Resolved to find answers, Jamie and Claire decide their next step must be to seek out Master Raymond, the enigmatic apothecary from Paris who once saved Claire's life. If anyone possesses knowledge of the strange, unseen forces potentially at play, it is him. Locating Raymond, however, presents its own challenge. He is known for his elusive nature, a figure moving like smoke through the cracks of time. Their search leads them not to the man himself, but to a sign left behind, a distinct cryptic symbol carved into an old tree near the ridge. The mark is undeniably Raymond's, a communication from the past, signaling that he is aware and attempting to guide them. But as they decipher this clue and prepare to follow his trail, the danger encroaches further. A stranger appears at Fraser's Ridge, a man giving no name, his expression impassive, almost reptilian. He claims to be merely passing through, but his eyes hold a different story, a cold, calculating darkness. One evening, Jamie discovers him lurking near their cabin, observing from the tree line. The confrontation that ensues is immediate and brutal, raw violence erupting in the twilight. Yet, before Jamie can extract any information, the man disappears into the darkening woods, leaving only a stark warning gouged into their door. Leave the past alone. But how can they abandon the past when it refuses to stay buried when it claws its way back into the present? As Jamie and Claire steel themselves for the escalating conflict, one truth becomes terrifyingly clear. This situation transcends their personal grief, their fear. An unknown entity is manipulating events from the shadows, pulling strings connected to their deepest sorrows. To survive what lies ahead, they must confront not only the ghosts of their history, but also the tangible darkness rising before them. The fight for the truth has commenced, and for Jamie Fraser, it may prove to be the most harrowing battle of his existence. 5. The stark command carved into their door, leave the past alone, resonates not just as a threat, but as a grim prophecy. Yet for Jamie and Claire, turning back is unthinkable after enduring so much. The path towards Master Raymond grows fainter, more obscured with each passing day, but their resolve only intensifies. Every step forward peels back another layer of the enigma, yet each revelation brings with it a new dimension of peril. Their first concrete lead comes via Fergus. Ever loyal, ever watchful, he brings news of a clandestine contact in New Orleans, someone reputed to possess knowledge of Raymond's current location or activities. Driven by a mixture of hope and desperation, Jamie and Claire embark on the journey, leaving the relative familiarity of Fraser's Ridge for the humid, secretive embrace of New Orleans, a city alive with whispers and veiled intentions. Their contact is a mysterious woman known only as Madame Laveau, who communicates in oblique phrases and half-truths. She confirms that Master Raymond still exists, but clarifies that he walks a line between worlds, not entirely among the living in the conventional sense. According to her cryptic explanation, Raymond is anchored to time itself by forces beyond ordinary comprehension, existing in a state neither fully alive nor truly deceased. Then Madame Laveau delivers the true shock. She speaks of faith. She insinuates that the infant Claire mourned might have been influenced by powers beyond the veil of human understanding. Sometimes, she murmurs, her voice low and resonant, the departed do not remain where we lay them to rest. Claire is thrown into turmoil, caught between paralyzing terror and a fragile, burgeoning hope. Could Raymond have intervened somehow during those dark days in Paris? Is there even a remote possibility that Faith wasn't taken by death, but by something else? Meanwhile, Jamie feels the pressure intensifying from multiple directions. The memory of the stranger at Fraser's Ridge haunts him the man's identity, the chilling certainty in his warning. It feels increasingly as if an unseen hand has been guiding this entire ordeal, manipulating them like pieces on a board they cannot yet perceive. The danger in New Orleans soon becomes tangible. Jamie and Claire become aware of being watched, shadowed by silent observers who melt into the night. This culminates in a sudden violent ambush. Jamie sustains injuries, but the assailants vanish as swiftly as they appeared, leaving no trace but the lingering threat. It's undeniably clear now, powerful forces are determined to halt their search. Fear, however, is no longer a deterrent. Claire, pushed by desperation, begins to explore the unthinkable. Could her maternal connection to Faith transcend the boundary of death? Her dreams evolve into vivid, disturbing visions, glimpses of a small girl adrift in an empty void, silently pleading, her eyes filled with a desperate appeal for rescue. The breakthrough arrives unexpectedly. Hidden within Master Raymond's few remaining possessions, discovered through Madame Laveau's veiled guidance, they find a concealed letter. It's penned in fragmented phrases, symbols, and archaic language, incredibly difficult to decipher, but one line stands out with chilling clarity. Time does not flow in a straight line. Certain doors are never truly closed. This revelation sends a shiver down Claire's spine. If time operates cyclically, could a pathway exist to reach Faith? Assuming she exists somewhere beyond the veil, Jamie, though wounded, remains resolute at Claire's side, prepared to confront whatever horrors await them. The truth is stark and unavoidable. They are navigating a treacherous intersection where history, destiny, and malevolent forces collide. As they prepare for the next stage, a terrifying realization solidifies. Finding Faith might involve more than just saving her spirit. it could mean confronting an entity far more ancient and terrifying than death itself. The journey back towards Scotland is not merely a return home, it feels like a deliberate descent into escalating danger. Each mile covered carries the weight of their discoveries and the uncertainty of what awaits. Raymond's words echo relentlessly. Time is not a straight path. Some doors never close. The pressing question becomes, what door did their quest inadvertently unlock? Arriving at Lallybroch, the atmosphere is palpably wrong. The familiar stones seem to hold a new chill. The ghosts of the past feel disturbingly present. Jenny feels it too, an unnatural tension in the air. The shadows stretch longer, the wind carries an unusual coldness, and the nights are plagued by unsettlingly vivid dreams for everyone. Claire's visions of faith intensify but also transform. Her daughter no longer seems merely lost. She appears trapped, desperately reaching out through a shimmering, unstable fissure in the fabric of time itself. For Jamie, the emotional toll becomes immense. Physical scars from battles past pale in comparison to the consuming fear of losing everything once more. The memory of Faith's death is an open wound, never fully scarred over. The possibility of her existence, however fraught, unleashes a tempest of hope and terror within him that threatens to overwhelm his legendary fortitude. Then the immediate horror manifests. A stranger arrives at Lallybroch's gates, the same man from Fraser's Ridge, his eyes devoid of warmth, his presence radiating menace. His message is delivered with chilling precision. You were warned to leave the past undisturbed. This is no longer a vague threat, it's confirmation. This man knows about Faith, about Raymond, and most disturbingly, seems unnervingly aware of Jamie's intentions almost before Jamie forms them himself. 7. Claire, fiercely protective of her family, immerses herself in ancient lore and obscure texts, searching desperately for any knowledge that might explain the terrifying power they are confronting. Her research unearths unsettling legends, tales of fractures in the timeline, moments where destiny itself could be altered. But these accounts always come with a stark warning. Tampering with such fundamental forces invites catastrophic consequences, ripples of devastation far exceeding the initial act. Allenbrock directly. The stranger returns not with warnings, but with calculated violence. An attack ensues, leaving young Ian gravely wounded. Jamie, consumed by a potent mix of rage and guilt, swears retribution. But this fight has escalated beyond vengeance. It is now a raw struggle for survival. Claire's visions become increasingly terrifying. In one, Faith is not alone in the temporal void. A shadowy figure looms nearby, an ancient, malevolent presence radiating coldness, observing from beyond the confines of time. The implication is horrifying. If they persist, they risk losing not just their lives in the present, but potentially their very existence across time. For Jamie, this crystallizes into his most profound struggle. He's battling not only a tangible, ruthless enemy, but also the crushing internal fear that rescuing Faith might demand a price too terrible to contemplate. The cumulative weight of his past actions, his regrets, his perceived failures, it all threatens to shatter his resolve, Yet, even staring into the abyss, Jamie Fraser's instinct is to fight for those he loves. As the unseen forces tighten their grip, Claire and Jamie brace themselves for the unthinkable. Time is rapidly running out, each tick of the clock pulling them closer to a confrontation that could either restore their lost daughter or obliterate everything they have ever known and fought to protect. The danger is no longer abstract. It resides within the very walls of Lallybroch, breathing down their necks. Every shadow seems to writhe, every creak of the floorboards echoes with warning. The attack and Ian's subsequent injury serve as a brutal reminder. This conflict is not confined to the past. It jeopardizes their present and any hope for a future. There is no longer room for grief or hesitation. The message from their enemy is implicit: cease the search or face utter annihilation. Claire's visions intensify further, morphing into experiences of shared agony. Faith is still there trapped, but now her presence conveys excruciating pain. She isn't just reaching, she is screaming silently from within her temporal prison. Her eyes, once envisioned as innocent, now reflect profound terror. And the shadowed entity remains, no longer just observing, but seeming to feed on the anguish, a being ancient, cruel, and omniscient, force desiring not just to stop them, but to unmake them entirely. 8. Jamie understands they need answers, definitive ones, and only one source remains plausible. Master Raymond's sanctuary, likely hidden somewhere in Paris. Returning to the city where Faith was lost stirs painful memories, but the escalating danger leaves no alternative. Remaining in Scotland exposes Lollybrock to further attacks, a risk Jamie refuses to take. Their passage to France is shadowed by peril. Whispers seem to follow them from port to port, confirming the stranger's reach extends far beyond Scottish shores. They are actively hunted. Each step towards Raymond feels like traversing a razor's edge over an abyss, every uncovered secret pulling them deeper into a potentially inescapable fate. In Paris, they locate the site of Raymond's former apothecary. It stands derelict, thick with dust, seemingly forgotten. But Claire, guided by intuition and fragmented clues from the letter, discovers a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards. Inside rests Raymond's journal. Its pages are brittle, the ink faded, yet the contents are earth-shattering. Raymond meticulously documented temporal anomalies, fractures in time, events deliberately altered, and nestled within the complex notes, a prophecy scribbled with a trembling hand. The child thought lost will be found, but the cost is steep. Blood must answer blood, and time offers no forgiveness. The words pierce Claire like shards of ice. Bringing Faith back might be achievable, but it demands a sacrifice. The horrifying question hangs heavy in the air. What or who is the price? Jamie, ever the shield, responds without hesitation. If a life is required, he is prepared to offer his own. But Claire vehemently rejects this notion. She endured the loss of Faith once. She will not lose Jamie now. As they delve deeper into Raymond's complex writings, a more terrifying layer of the truth emerges. Returning to Scotland, however, brings a sobering awareness. While the temporal fracture may be closed, the ancient force they encountered was not destroyed, merely repelled. It waits, banished to the shadows, perhaps gathering strength, perhaps seeking another way. The final season promises that Jamie and Claire's struggles are far from over. Death was defied, but the consequences of manipulating time linger, and time itself possesses a long memory.